Hello there. Well, greetings and hello there, everyone. It's me, your beloved, your favorite. It's Star Wars Dad. Hey, and I'm here today with the Gerbil. Say hello, the Gerbil.
Hey, what's up, everyone? It's a pleasure to be here.
It is really good to meet you, sir. And but we're going to take a look at your roster, talk about Star Wars, talk about the game. But before we do that, I'm going to pull up on my screen just your video of who the next GL is going to be. When you did like a data analysis of the characters in the game and who CG wanted us to spend money on next, and this thing just really took off, and it's how I found you. Tell me, is this kind of a mindset you've had for a while, or is this an idea you came upon recently, or how did you come to this video here?
Yeah, okay, so actually that's kind of the second version, maybe even third version of that video. So going back about 5, maybe 6 months before Profundity even, I did a video I said the title was 5 is the new 7. And I was like, we don't need 7 ships for any fleet, actually. And I was like, Home 1 typically has the starting, right, Hans Millennium Falcon, and that time it would be Bist and Biggs, and then you would have Cassian come in and you win, right? And so I was like, there's 5 other Rebel ships that are just sitting there, and I'm not saying that like Wedge was any good or anything, but it was like rarely do you need all 4 reinforcements, and if you do, that's just kind of a drag on your time.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, you know what? I made this matrix, and I was like, okay, so here's all the capital ships, and I plugged in all the ships we had, and I was like, if we just got 4 more ships, then we could have a fleet of 5 for everyone. And then, and in that matrix, I said we need 2 more rebels, we need a Sith, and we need an Empire. And I predicted that we'd get a Sith capital and a Rebel capital, and it was like it's going to be Profundity because that was at the Battle of Scarif, yada yada yada. And then lo and behold, Profundity came out, and I was like, there it is, told you. And then I thought we would get a B-wing and possibly another Red Squadron member.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not so gullible as to think Red 5's ever coming, but we got Outrider, and it was like, oh, and Kyle, and I was like, you know what? That's 2 of the 4 Star Killer requirements. I wouldn't be surprised if Mara, Empire, gets a ship, and Talon, Sith. And I was like, then the Matrix is complete. 5 for the 7, right? 5 is the new 7. And that video was pretty popular. And now, lo and behold, we are getting the Sith capital ship. And I was like, there it is. And a lot of stuff came that I totally didn't expect, like TIE Defender. I was very hopeful for that. That was pretty cool. But it was a similar process to the GL prediction. I was just kind of like looking, where does everything plug in and where can you maximize money if you're looking at from a developer perspective. And so I went to SWGOH and I looked at all the relic data, like what's relic, what's not. And there's like 450,000 relic Vaders out there. But right now there's like 1,000 Hoth Rebels, not the Scout. Is it Scout?
It would be Scout, right? Doesn't Scout go into the Mon Mothma team? That would be the one you're talking. Let's look
Soldier.
it up.
Hoth Rebel Soldier. There's less than 1,000
Okay.
relic Hoth Rebel soldiers in the game, right? And I was like, okay, well, that means 450,000 Vaders. People aren't going to gear that up anymore. 1,000 relic soldiers, and it's like, oh man, there's a lot of revenue opportunity. I wonder what that pans out across the whole game spectrum. So I started looking at it, and I was like, you know what? There's absolutely no money to be made with Bad Batch currently because they're all up there for Lord Vader and everybody else. And it just ended up saying, out of all of the bottom 100 characters that people didn't gear, like Phoenix and Ewoks and a bunch of random rebels represented nearly 40% of that pool. And I was like, that just kind of screams money if I was a developer. And we'll see. I mean, nothing's been announced yet.
Yeah, I mean, I think pretty much everybody's seen that video, and it's kind of changed our mindset about how we look at the game. And not to say everybody didn't understand that, hey, the game's here to make money, and I say it all the time. You know, people that complain about, well, it's pay to play, or there's whales and it's like, you know what, dude, if they weren't there, and if the whales weren't here or the Krakens, we wouldn't have a game anymore. And I've played plenty of games here on this channel, 2 or 3 games that really aren't being developed anymore or just gone altogether because nobody paid any money for anything on them. So yeah, that was a really good analysis, and I remember I was watching Arnold just a couple nights ago talking about why Malik is not the pilot of the Leviathan, because he is. and they put Revan in charge of it. Well, it's because everybody's already got Malak Relic 9, and
Yeah.
they need to get people to pay to get Darth Revan Relic 9.
Yeah, I was looking at my own Sith, and I was like, you know what? My Darth Revan, I think, was Relic 4 or something, and Malik was 7, and he's on my short list for 8.
Yeah,
So, and I'm particularly not a fan of the Sith. I'm kind of a light side guy. I mean, look at my channel; it's mostly Rebels and Ewoks. So it's like, if even I am in that same boat, then I would imagine countless other people are.
yeah. So tell me,
Which I also, go ahead.
Sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say Sith Assassin. Like, I was looking at my roster too, and I was like, oh my gosh, my Sith Assassin's like R4, and or not or like 4, like Gear 4 or something, right? And he's a pilot. I was like, snap. So
It's a
I started
she. It's a
grinding
she,
on
by
that.
the way. She is a pilot.
Oh, she
Yeah.
didn't see. That shows you how well I know my Sith.
Also, I don't know if you're aware of this. The Resistance pilot is also a she.
Yes, that one I did know,
All right, all right.
and likely a Ewok Scout, but
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. All right, that makes sense. So I apologize for this. I don't know where does the gerbil come from?
oh, okay. Well, so actually I haven't shared that one, so and it's fine. Um, when I was about 5 years old, I adopted 2 pet gerbils and had them for a few years. And I remember when they died, like I cried my eyes out. And my older brother just made fun of me a lot for it, so he called me Gerbil Butt for a long time after that. You know, you're being a baby, you're Gerbil Butt, whatever. But he was 7 years older than me, and over time that just evolved, and he just started calling me Gerbil. Hey, Gerbil, what's up, Gerbil? And then about 5 years ago, I guess, we lost him very suddenly to the flu, of all things, complications from flu. And when he passed away, it's about the time I created, I think, this game's account and a few others. And he was a big gamer. He liked gaming a lot. And so I thought, you know what? I'm going to make my online persona the Gerbil, kind of just to remember my brother and to kind of play games, with him, even though he's not there.
Wow.
So
well,
that's where it comes from.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. That's yeah. Thank you. I appreciate you having the faith in me to share that. So thank you, sir.
Is that the first time I've shared, and it was actually a little harder than I thought, but yeah, that's why.
No, I can understand why it'd be hard, and yeah, it's we love people, and anyway, we don't want to get in that kind of that'll be a rough conversation. So, but yeah, that's quite a tribute. Well, that's yeah. Thank you for sharing that. So
I'm just annoyed that he's missing like Kenobi and everything, and the Ahsoka show. I mean, he'd love that stuff. So
that's a tough stuff. So how did you become how were you introduced to Star Wars? What's your Star Wars story?
I remember watching it on, over-the-air, non-cable television when I was young. So I'm definitely dating myself here. But my family growing up, we were rather poor. Like cable, not a chance, no way. That just wouldn't happen, right? And so I remember, like, I'd watch the Saturday morning cartoons, and they'd have advertisements, Return of the Jedi, this Friday at 7 p.m.
Yep.
And I'd look forward to it all week long, and it would be there. And at whatever age that was, I loved it. Particularly the Ewoks just stuck with me forever. And then somebody gave me some old toys, and I had a Jabba the Hutt, and I had I can't remember his name, the character that plays that piano with 4 arms.
That would be Max Rebo, right?
That's him.
Yep.
Right, yeah. So I had a toy of him, and then I had a Wicket. Yeah, there he is. Look at that.
There he is.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I had a Wicket, and I had a Rancor. Like I had a large Rancor. And then later, somehow, my collection expanded. Someone gave me an old Death Star battle bridge, something or other. And I don't know what happened to that, but those toys stuck with me, and I've always been rather a nostalgic person. And so I largely forgot about Star Wars until about 8 or 9 years ago. Just life, business, work, career, everything. But then when a lot of the new stuff started coming out, I got back into it a little bit. And one day I was bored, and I saw an ad in another game for Galaxy of Heroes, and I was like, yeah, I'll give it a try. And unfortunately, I've never put it down.
I go ahead. What?
I was gonna say, if somebody had told me, "Hey, Gerbil, if you start playing this now, you're still gonna be playing it, farming it in 5 or 6 years, and it's gonna hurt your bank account," I would have been like, "Oh, cool, never mind." But nah, I'm actually happy I did. I mean, it's given me countless hours of entertainment
Right.
and like opportunities like this to meet people.
I mean, you think about it, like you take your family to a movie, it's going to cost you 75 to $100 if you got, two or three kids. So
Yep.
it feels like a lot when you're doing it, and sometimes you don't feel good after you do open the wallet, but it's there. But
Yeah.
hey, your experience with the TV and seeing the movie on TV, and I'm sure it was edited for television, right? And they bring it down to a
Oh,
square
probably.
screen. Man, I can relate to that. I think those of us of a certain age can really think back to being poor. We did not have a TV for like 2 or 3 years
Oh,
because
wow.
yeah, we had a small like 13-inch black and white TV back in the late 70s, and it broke. And then my dad got laid off, which the early 80s, he was an airline pilot, and there was a big recession, and we couldn't afford a TV. So it was a couple years where kids at school talking about Dukes of Hazzard, and I couldn't relate to it, and I couldn't talk about it, and it was tough. It was a tough life with no television, man.
Wow, Dukes of Hazzard, that brings back memories.
Exactly. So if you try to watch it again, it does not age well. Just FYI.
No, I tried a few years ago and I was like, okay, 5 minutes of that was
That's good
enough. Let's
enough.
move on.
I remember adjusting the joke is that the remote control when we were kids was us and say, hey, go change the channel, and you're check. Anyway, um, so why don't you have the Poggle the Lesser Omicron here? What's going on with that?
Poggle. What's a pog? Oh, the Geos. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I'm kind of a light side player,
Okay.
right, for the most part. And I deployed just today in Rise of the Empire, and we've split our light side, dark side. I observed for the first time that my dark side GP was higher, and I just about had an aneurysm. I was like, how can that be? But no, my Geos, like, I have very, very much ignored my separatists for the most part. Yeah, like Newt Gunray is still like gear 10 or 9, I
Oh
think.
my.
Yeah. I mean, I do have I would say, I don't know, I got Grievous up there, Relic 7, and Django, of course, and most of the droids working on Droidica, but the Geonosians, I'm just like, I've never really been a fan of the bugs. And I think it's because when they first hit the table, they decimated me. And I
Yeah.
just have never kind of gotten over that.
You never got. So yeah, when GBA came out, I mean, it changed. We had Geos before that, but yeah, you're right. They were a ridiculous. It's like when Enfys Nest first came out and broke the
Yeah.
game for a while.
Yeah, and like that was back. I don't remember. I'm not good at keeping track of like who came when where, but I remember there was a period when I had first started this channel. It was purely just a mockery mostly. I was just trying to make fun of the game and have a little laugh. And so like I was posting videos of like, look, Ewoks beating Darth Revan, Ewoks beating General Grievous, and yeah, I was pulling it off. But then the bugs came, and I was like, I didn't have a chance. Like once they got a turn or two, they just walked over me, and I was just like raging, right? Um, and so then I did farm them just enough for the WAP mission, I guess. And then now Rise of the Empire, and I'm like, well, done with that.
The bugs are kind of a elevated Ewok team. I'd never really thought about that before. So
Yeah, in many ways.
yeah, so when Enfys Nest came out, I talk about this not a lot, but this ability that Jedi Knight Revan has, I got to pull up on screen. When a Jedi ally uses a basic ability on an enemy with bonus protection, reduce the target enemy's max health by 10%. That was not originally in Jedi Knight Revan's kit. That was added because he couldn't get through Enfys Nest, and because of all of her bonus protection, and there wasn't. It just every time they'd hit her, she'd just gain all the bonus protection. So that was actually added. That was a
So,
yeah.
so what you're really saying is all the way back then,
Yes.
CG was still saying wasn't working as intended.
Yes, but it seems a little more drastic now. Like when you launch your new meta fleet, the Executor, and people are beating it with like Gear 8 Home 1 squads. It's like
Yeah.
nobody bothered to test. You didn't like
No.
test every fleet against that. You just tested. I don't know what it's. I kind of say
Yeah.
they've got about 7 chimps testing right now, and I'm sorry to over the testers is, and they're just using Otto as their primary tester at this point. So
Oh, absolutely.
yeah.
You know, and there's so many little issues in the current conquest too,
Oh
right?
yeah.
It's it. I was just joking with my guildmates today. I was like, I'm surprised that there's not a feat in the current conquest that's like 20 kills with Saul Guerrera, right? And then everybody would be like, he's not even in the game. I don't think that would stop CG at the moment.
Right. I mean, it's not just me, right? So the Mother Talisman Old Doc and Marin thing's just broken, right? I didn't bother to look it up,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's just broken.
Well, it works, but I believe the caveat is they have to survive, which is not in
Oh.
the feat description.
Ah, well, foolish me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
How could you not do that?
Well, I thought I could I thought I could throw it together with my 3-star Marin, just like you got it right here. But yeah,
Yeah.
it didn't work once, so I just quit on it. Yeah.
Well, I've been managing to get some wins at that against Huck's lead First Order, and yeah, let me go into Conquest and check that out real quick.
Okay.
It's Sector 2, right? Yeah, is where the Night Sisters come into play. Yeah, so Sector 2, you need the plagues, right? And Marin can actually get those rather quickly. I think if you can kill an enemy with her special, she only has 2 moves. I think it stacks an immediate 4 plague on everybody.
Okay.
So that's like 16, which is nice in 1 move. But where's the global feat? Yeah, Night Sisters. Yeah. I've got all of 6 wins so far out of 40.
Oh, you're good to go. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely on track for this one. Although I do have a tip for anybody struggling with any of the like keep so and so alive till the end, right? Whether it's like T3 or who's in one of them in Sector 5 also.
Okay.
So interesting tip that most people overlook is that Admiral Radis, he revives any ally. It's not faction specific, light, dark, rebel. It's revive all allies, including like GLs. You can put Sith Eternal there, and if he dies, he revives. So you run a 4-person AdRad team, and you throw in T3 or Cal Kestis or whoever you need to survive. You wait till you get Hope, you trigger Hope, and then you win at 3 stars guaranteed because you have all allies at full health and protection.
Well, that's good to know, man. Honestly, I've never used him because I don't have him right now. So
Whoa, no, you're missing out.
I know. So I
think Radis is an amazing character in Conquest. Yeah, no, specifically in Conquest because you put those zealous ambitions on him. So he's a support, right? You can get all the non-attackers. You put in like Cassian, K2, Scarif Pathfinder, and then whoever you want. Just don't put Jen Urza in there because she's an attacker, even though she's got to be the softest hitting attacker in the game.
Yeah, for me, I had my main account that I started back when the game began, and when I started doing the Supreme Leader Kylo Ren rush on this channel 28 months ago now, I guess, I kind of just wanted to really focus on that part of the game, and I realized that, you know, the end game stuff is tough to break into and on the channel, and so I kind of let it go and started a couple of free to play and smaller low level accounts, and that's what I really focus on. I've been focused on the channel for instance. So I don't have an end game account. I've got a mid game and early game accounts right now is what I really dial in on.
I think the early game is more fun, to be honest. So I recently made the Gerblit, a free to play mostly account. I did buy the hyperdrive to skip the first 4 months, right? But in that account, I'm rushing for Inquisitors, and you know what's interesting is like a new account rushing for Inquisitors very much feels like my original account before the gear acceleration. So to me, hunting for all those Kairos is not really that painful because I already have 4 years of going, I wish I had more Carbantes. I wish I had more stun cuffs. And now I have those. I'm like, look at that. It's just, you know, it's just the same as the old.
Right. Meet the new boss, same as the old. Yeah, it's the same thing. I get it. That's the old vets of the game. It doesn't bother us at all, right?
No, it doesn't really bother me much. But in that account, there's a fella in my guild or the fleet shard who got profundity at under 2 million GP. Like, went straight for it. And when it dropped on the board, I was like, what? I was like, holy heck, how is that even a thing?
No, I get it.
But
when you see those things drop on there, it makes Yeah, I look at rosters all the time and roster reviews, and you see, yesterday I saw two accounts. One that was at 1 million that had a 7-star Darth Malgus at like gear 11, and then one was a 2 million account that had him all the way Relic 7 with his data his Omicrons, and neither one of them had Sith Empire to go along with it. So it was like, well, I don't know what you're doing with this, but you might want to pivot your farm here a little bit.
Yeah.
Hey, let me ask you a question here. You did a video on the Raven's Claw and how it could be maybe the sleeper early ship. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Oh, I think it absolutely is. So the Raven's Claw. So okay, when the Raven's Claw came out, there was no profundity. Right, you gotta keep that part in mind first. There was no profundity, which meant that the Falcon was always with Home One. So you had Biggs, you had Biston, and the Falcon, right? And so then when the Raven's Claw came out, its kit kind of paralleled the Falcon, but it was different enough in that it just didn't seem to perform nearly as effectively. Because like the Falcon always dispels the enemy on its basic. The Raven's Claw only does it if it has foresight, for example.
Okay.
It's very similar but different. And so what happened was when Raven's Claw came out, there was just no need for it. Nobody really, I think, spent a lot of time using it, myself included. And then we got Profundity, and Akbar's all like, fish stole my bird, taking the Falcon over there to his fleet. Sorry, I like that quote. Fish stole my bird.
That's pretty good. I like. Yeah, I'm a fan. Well done.
Yeah. So the Falcon went away, but when Profundity came out, also Home One kind of got relegated to the bench for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
So even though we now have the Claw again, nobody's really playing it and testing it. So when I made my Gerblet account, the free to play or alt, back in like late November, I decided, you know what, I'm just really curious to see how this works. The Raven's Claw is easier to farm. It's on a fleet node. Kyle is an early Cantina farm, and then of course he's a star killer requirement. So being a Rebel fan, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go for Adrad, which I've side tabled. I'm gonna go for Mon Mothma and CLS, and I was like, that's gonna be my opening GAC lineup. And so I got Kyle. He became my first relic, and so I didn't have the Falcon. And I threw it in there, and then as soon as I started hitting Houndstooths, which used to be a real problem, I realized the Raven's Claw just walks right past it. Just like it takes the whole Rebel fleet and just goes, oh look, Houndstooth, bye-bye. We're gonna kill everyone behind you now. And it does with ease. And it does it even so efficiently now that in my main account at 9 million, I'm now putting the Falcon as a reinforcement if I run it in Home One. My full Relic 7 plus Rebel Home One fleet starts with the Raven's Claw. And I can explain why, but basically when the Falcon enters the battlefield, you win. Like when it comes in as the RI, you almost always win.
Okay. I mean, that's awesome, man. It's something when you find those things that other people aren't discovering. It's always kind of fun and interesting, and you can talk a lot. So yeah, that's awesome. Well, let me give you one final question here before we wrap up. And this has really been enjoyed. We talked before we even came on. I really enjoyed spending some time with you here today. But so what if you were going to offer a piece of advice or just one thing to say about the game to players? What is that thing?
Oh wow, that's a deep question. I feel like I'm on the spot right now.
Yeah, don't mess
Can
it
I have
up.
like an hour to ponder that?
No, this is a political debate. You got to answer right now.
Oh man, I would say like what I always say in a lot of my videos: chase the fun, not the meta. The meta there is no end to this game. It is as long as Star Wars is a thing and Disney's making money on it, there will be new Star Wars Galaxy Heroes characters. I'm not saying necessarily content, but they will keep throwing characters to it, and those new characters are always going to be better than the old characters for the most part. So you can try to chase, or you can have fun. And if you love chasing the meta, then it's a double win. But I would just say do what you enjoy. And don't take it to heart when people tell you your roster sucks because you don't have Relic 7 Darth Malak, as you were saying, at 1 million GP or something.
That's great. And you've taken that to heart by farming your Ewoks to Relic 7.
Yeah, all of them, and they're
What,
not 9 though, right? I'm debating that.
what do you do with the 2 extra Ewoks?
Oh, I use them in 3v3 all the time.
Ah, okay, 3. Okay,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
get
yeah.
it.
Yeah, no, in 3v3, Thibaut Lagre Scout is actually a really, really fun offensive team. Not even a mop-up team, but just an offensive. Because, like, I know people right now are going, okay, unsubscribe. But no, seriously. So Tebow, his basic when he's in stealth, removes 100% turn meter,
Yeah.
right? Ewok Scout removes turn meter on his basic, and he calls an assist. So if it's Tebow, bye-bye turn meter. And then Logray removes 100% turn meter and dazes on his AoE. And then Tebow's leadership passively gives around turn meter, and Logray's hypnotized. No, his prophetic visions gives everyone turn meter. So there's actually a fair amount of turn meter gain while simultaneous turn meter removal. And so if you know your targets, like if you throw that up against Malgus, no, that's not going to work. But if you happen to come across somebody who puts an undergeared or a slower team, you can just walk right over them. It's so much fun and agonizing when you lose, but I like it.
There you go, man. All right. Well, the gerbil. I'm so glad you're able to join me today. I appreciate it. We
Yeah.
are about 13 hours apart on the old globe. So actually, you can't really be
Yeah.
13 hours apart, can you? I think we're 11 hours apart would be a better way to put it.
Yeah, I think 11. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. But
Well,
it's technology is amazing, man.
there you go.
Discord,
It really
internet,
is.
I love it.
It's a whole
What's a
different
time
world
zone?
now.
Yeah, sure is.
All right, well, guys, go check out the Gerbil's channel for sure. He's got much more intelligent content than you're getting here on Star Wars. Dad, I'm flying by the seat of my pants as I go every day, and the Gerbil's doing lots of data analysis and presenting awesome tables and graphs and everything that I'm missing out on. So
I try to take the road less traveled, but
there you
thank
go.
you. And I've
Hey,
been lucky. I've been lucky.
no, well, you know what? I think there's always some truth to being lucky, but there's even more equal truth to the fact that you work really hard and you make your own luck by you do something 200 times to find that one time that really works for you. So
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll go ahead and commit. I've already said it on my channel. I'll say it here, and I'm probably wrong, but I just took Kanan and Ezra and Ahsoka Fulcrum up to Gear 13 because with the new spoiler Ahsoka show, I don't want to say much there, and on a lot of other evidence that I've seen, I'm convinced that some Phoenix is going to be needed for the next GL.
now, don't you think they usually wait? I mean, normally they when they now, but these are existing characters, I guess. Yeah, but like when a show comes out, they'll wait a year and then they'll bring out the characters from the show. Um, but these are just so these won't be new characters. You're saying?
I think well, if we got time.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I don't want to give any spoilers for the shows. I mean, a lot of stuff has been announced. We know that Phoenix is in
Right.
the new Ahsoka show, right? So, but like, I feel 100% with maybe a 70% margin of error that Leia is going to be the next GL rebel. Because rebels are the biggest faction in the game,
Yeah.
and they are also one of the most undergeared factions, excluding CLS,
Yeah.
whatever. It's just the sheer scope of the faction. And this is the 40th anniversary return of the Jedi, right? So here's the thing: like Jabba the Hutt came out, I think it was last July, which means that this summer we are a year without a new GL. And even though they said that they're not doing them in pairs, don't assume that Jabba means that we're going to get a counterpart. I'm like, well, that's fine because Rebels are not a counterpart to the Hutt cartel. Leia just happened to be the one that killed him. I mean, somebody would have done it. So I don't think that really matters. But I think to follow the money, as that video before says, Rebels have the most gain most opportunity, especially when you throw in Phoenix and Ewoks there. Now, with the 40th anniversary coming up in May, that's a great time to announce a Rebel GL and say, hey, you need a Relic 9 Wicket. Or Chief Chirpa. I'm telling you, I think it's going to happen. And then like Hoth Rebel Soldier, like I was saying, no one has him geared, but you think Leia worked with a Hoth Rebel Soldier? Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's going to be painful. I also think Saw Gerrera, who's coming for
Yeah.
Cal, I think he will be a requirement because here, so Saw the Cal Journey character, you only need Gear 12, right? And that sounds really generous. You only need Gear 12 on Saw and Seer and Mirren and whatever. But no, because you need a lot of Chirotex for that. So it's not actually generous. Well, so you gear 12 of them, and then what? Oh, look, Rebel GL, you need Saw at Relic 8.
I
And
I
then,
I don't put anything past him, and that makes a ton of sense to me. And I'm gonna agree that your analysis is right on that Rebels need a GL for sure.
yeah.
And Leia is so has been so ignored by CG to this point. Um,
So here's a few items of thought too. Leia has the second most screen time in the original trilogy.
yeah,
Like people don't realize that she's the second most screen time. She was at the Battle of Scarif, obviously, because she escaped from the profundity. And you know who else was at the Battle of Scarif? Phoenix was. And they're in the new show, so it's an opportunity to promote the new Disney content as well as connecting to the past. And Leia was in the Rebels TV show. Not a lot, but she made appearances. And Leia met Stana and Dr. Afra, and they were very recent. They could be even requirements. Unlikely, but they could be. So I just feel like all the stars are pointing to it.
yeah.
From
Well,
who they're bringing in
yeah.
to
Welcome to your
what's
new
coming in.
Capital Games marketing manager, the Gerbil. Here he is.
Actually, no. I like working for a company that people like,
There
as
you
far
go.
as I know.
There you go. All right, man. Well, on that, that's
Yeah.
really good info, and I think it makes a ton of sense. You know, we never know our predictions till they come around, but it just makes a
Yep.
ton of sense that that's what's going to happen in the game, and we'll all be sitting there. Yeah, Leia's giving speeches to snowspeeder pilots and those,
Yes.
those Hoth soldiers. So yeah, it would make all the sense in the world that happens. So
Yeah, yeah. So, but again, if you go relic your Phoenix and it doesn't happen, I never said anything.
yeah, it's not your fault. These are individual
No,
choices that people make.
exactly, exactly.
All right, the gerbil. It's really great to meet you today. I'm glad to spend some time together.
Hey, you too, man. Thank you so much for having me on. This was a real pleasure.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So, hey everybody, again, go check out the Gerbil's channel since we kind of had a an encore there with the GL talk, and we will talk to you soon. I will see you very soon. Have a great day. Make sure to love your family, and always remember, Nooch too good.